Welcome everyone to the September meeting of the Acquisition Special Interest Group. We're meeting hybrid this time. We've got people live in the room and we've got people in Zoom. So what I wanted to do is just kind of talk about what the SIG is for, what kinds of things we do, and then just kind of get a sense of who's all out there, and then we can go from there. So first of all, because the acquisitions people are always on the cutting edge of everything, the acquisitions group was the first to get established. The acquisition special interest group was the first to get established in koha-US. We got started at the Portland, yes, at the Portland, yes, that was actually the Koha-Con. And from there, we've just kind of been going forward. What we do is anything that is related to the acquisitions module is fair game for us. And we talk about everything from just regular acquisitions without EDI. We talk about acquisitions with EDI. We talk about purchase suggestions and how those get processed. We talk about the budget tracking that's in Koha. We talk about, including end of year processing, how to close out a year, all that. I don't know if there's anything else, but just what we want to be is a place to educate people on how to use EDI. It's a great tool. Unlike a lot of proprietary vendors, we don't, Koha doesn't charge you extra for EDI. So for acquisitions. So you can just, play with it, use it. And we're here to help people get started. We're here to answer any kind of questions that you might have. Sometimes you run into bumps along the way. I'm at the Round Rock Public Library, and we have had acquisitions since 2016 when we migrated. We came from a system that had EDI, so we needed to have EDI when we got onto Koha because we didn't want to take our processing backward. So we were one of the first libraries to use EDI in the US in Koha. So we've pretty much made every mistake that there is to make along the way, so we can help you with that. We've got a group that, let me see if I can, if you go to the koha-US it's koha, whoa, that's not it.
Rhonda, if you want to share your screen, that would show everybody what you're looking at.
Okay, I'm going to first try and type it in correctly, and then I'll show it. Okay, all right, now I've got it. All right, so go back here, there, here, and there. Okay, so this is the koha-us.org site. If you come down, oops, I did that wrong. If you go to the collaborate, and then under user groups, we've got the special interest groups. And under this, you've got all of the special interest groups. We just happen to be the first because we start with A. So if you want to join, You just click on this join, you'll join our Google group. We've got a workspace here with stuff in it. We've got our meetings on the third Tuesday of the month. And then we record all of our meetings. So you can, if you happen to miss one, you can just click there and I'm not going to do that right now. If you go in here, you will see any kind of documents that we have. You can share documents here. And where are the previous sessions stored?
So as far as the recordings,
Yeah,
so that YouTube thing on the left there, the purple box, that's a link to the playlist of all of the past YouTube. So it's it populates the most recent one. If you click the little, there's like 3 lines and an arrow kind of up towards the title, that should give you the playlist contents.
okay.
So you can kind of scroll
So
back
you
through and you can also access these on our YouTube channel as well at youtube.com/koha-US.
Okay, super. Okay, so yeah, we have, you know, we've covered lots of topics in the past, and you can just go back and look, you know, go to the YouTube thing and see if there's a topic there we've covered. You know, closing out the end of the year, we've covered the difference between EDI and not EDI, just a bunch of different topics. And then what we try to do for each session is pick a topic to explore more about. We've had people come in and, you know, join us. We've had Nick from Bywater Development come in and kind of explain a little bit about the development cycle. One thing that we've done too is, you know, we talk about what we want to see in Koha in the future. And then we've opened some bugs that reflect some of the things that we want. We've got a couple of them out there right now. We've got one that's basically, it would, right now, when you make a change to the amount of your budget, you know, like if you want to transfer stuff between budgets or you get a gift from somebody for a particular budget item or line item, there's no tracking of that in Koha. So we put a bug out there that would, you know, with kind of what we want as a group of acquisitions librarians. So it kind of got divided up into 3 parts. And that first part, which is basically logging the changes in acquisitions, will be in the 2105 release. So that will be part 1 of what we want to do. And then the other parts we're trying to get through the system as well. I will stop sharing the screen. Are there any questions at this point? Just generally about the SIG at this point. Yeah. Yeah, so the question is, for people that are just coming into acquisitions, is there a beginner's YouTube video, you know, about how to get started in acquisitions? I don't remember one off the top of my head, but that being said, we could do that for the next meeting. You know, just kind of talk through what it takes, you know, setting up a budget, setting up your line items underneath that, and then how to place an order and things like that. So we could definitely do that at our next meeting. That's actually a very good topic, because I think there's a number of libraries that are coming on in the near future or recently. So that would be a great thing. So we can do that. We've got our agenda for the October meeting. So, and that way you can join us and ask questions, you know, as we're just walking through it. So that's, you know, that's even better than watching a YouTube video. So what we can do is, you know, I might ask a couple of people who've been on it for a while, and then all of, you know, we can, yeah, do, you know, this is how we do it, because one thing you're going to learn with acquisitions is everybody does things a little differently. You know, there's not just the one way that you do it. So we can kind of show one of our videos, and I want to say it was maybe 3 or 4 months ago. Marcy, was it Marcy? Chen and I kind of showed the 2 different ways we did ordering. So, you know, that part of it is out there. You know, what's the difference between EDI and regular ordering? So we did something like that. So. Okay, sure. Christopher Brandon says that would be a great tutorial to record. So we can definitely do something like that, just to keep it, you know, just here's the steps through the, you know, getting set up, because that I think it's kind of intimidating. Yeah, John's shaking his head. And one thing we found, especially since we're EDI, you know, we wanted to do EDI, is in the training back 5 years ago, the trainers didn't really have access to like an Ingram account or a Baker and Taylor account or a Midwest tape account. So they couldn't actually show us what that looks like. But since we do have access to that stuff, we can show that, you know, what that actually looks like. So great question. Thank you. Okay. So that's kind of, if there's any other questions about the actual SIG and what it is, we can field those. The other thing is, when you join the group, you'll have access to the Google group kind of, it's not a listserv. What's the technical term for that? It's not really a listserv, but you can send questions to the other people in the group and get information. You know, we only meet once a month, but you can send questions to the group all month long and get responses. People are more than happy to send stuff. And also it's a great source to get, you know, if you want to know, you know, something specific from a specific library that maybe you met at the conference or something like that. You can just, their contact information is, you can get their contact information, just send notes directly to people. You know, I've received a number of questions from people, and I'm happy to answer them. It's not a problem.
So for all the SIGs, they each have their own Google group, which also acts like a mailing list. So if your institution doesn't let you use Google or something like that, we can still add you on to the Google group, and you can still interact with the group via email exclusively. So either way works. If you can get access to the Google group after you've joined, you can go back through the archives and stuff, and it's more like a forum. If you haven't worked with Google groups before, you can kind of look back through and see what past conversations have happened.
So I didn't have a specific topic selected for this one, because I just kind of wanted to talk more about what the SIG is and encourage people to join us. So I don't know if anybody's come today with a question about, your process, or, we can maybe point you in a direction for information, or we've got a wealth of information on this call that maybe somebody could answer it for you. So think about that. I'll keep talking, but interrupt me with your questions. So things, like I mentioned before, there's the other aspect of this is not just what's happening day to day, but also what kinds of improvements do we want to make in the future? Because the acquisitions module is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of in early stages. There's functionality that would be really nice to have. I mean, it works perfectly fine the way it is, but there's also the nice to have kind of things that would just make workflows a little quicker and easier. So one thing to do is in Bugzilla, you can search on just the acquisition bugs out there, and then comment on ones that look interesting to you, because the more comments, the more activity, the more the developers know that this is something that people are interested in. And then you can vote on it. You can set up, to get notifications on whenever there's a change to that particular bug, so that you can track the status of it. And come to the SIGs also with ideas for, wouldn't it be nice if we did this or that? Okay, I'm running out of things to talk about.
One person in our library that does the acquisitions and the catalog.
Okay.
And even though I'm familiar with cataloging, which is this really copy cataloging.
Okay.
I've always wanted to go and know the other side of acquisitions, basically, instead of just paying the invoices that they get in.
Okay. Yeah.
They can tell them whomever else, there's
Right.
several others, especially Amazon.
Mm.
But I just want to know the dynamics of it. So that's the reason why I asked the tutorial from the beginning, for beginners.
Sure. Yeah.
So that I can see the other side of it. Instead of just seeing the director's part.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So the comment here was, they have at their library, they've got one person that does acquisitions and cataloging. And the person here does some copy cataloging, but is really interested in what the other side of the, what the acquisitions part of that looks like, just to get a better understanding. So we can definitely do that. We can start with, we can use our Koha demonstration instance and do a great little tutorial. Heather's got her thumbs up. About what the, how to get set up in acquisitions, because it really is helpful. It really is helpful to have the acquisitions, to use the acquisitions module to track your budgets and stuff like that. So,
And as a director, that's key to me.
okay.
Because, just because you pay the invoice, you still, what does this cost? How does this come across?
Yep.
How can I even trim my budget or even expand my budget inside of acquisitions? But I don't know that dynamic of it. And the only thing that she can tell me is, well, this is what I purchased. And I'm saying, okay, that's good, but I don't know, this just made my money. I just want to know more.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we can definitely look at more. One question here, have the acquisition SIG discussions included improvements to patron suggestions? Yes, we have talked about patron suggestions and improving that. We do have, I know for sure, we've got one bug related to connecting, you know, if you do EDI ordering, you can't connect the patron suggestions to the order like you can if you do regular ordering, so that the patron gets notified when the item is ordered, and they get notified when the item is received. You can't do that with EDI right now, so we've got a bug out there to do that processing. Barbara, can you think of any other patron suggestion related ones? Okay. No, Ashley says exactly. Yeah. Because I know our patrons ask us all the time, you know, I put in this purchase suggestion, what happened, you know, but if they would get notifications, that would help them, kind of a warm fuzzy, if you will. And I know there's one out there about automatically putting holds on. You have that one, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So
I was just going to say, I'm just looking in Bugzilla, and I encourage everyone to, you know, go in and search Bugzilla. Like Rhonda said, you could limit it to acquisitions, and then you can see all of these things that people have entered that would be features, either new features or fixes to something that would be helpful. So you can then go in there and say, yeah, you know, that would be helpful for my library too, or, you know, we need it to work differently. So I was just looking through the list, and let me see. One was the ability to have additional fields in the patron suggestions, adding custom fields, ability to merge suggestions.
Can you go on the koha-US link and show how the patron can put in a purchase suggestion or even the automatic hold? I know how to do a hold.
Right.
But I'm saying, you're saying the patron can do a hold?
If you have it set up, you can have patrons they're logged into their account, and then there's a place where they can go in and put in a purchase suggestion. So there's a form that they can fill out and say, you know, here's the title of the author, the date, ISBN, and then they can enter that. And then that goes into the client side, and as staff, then you can see the purchase suggestions that have been entered.
Okay, and they're doing that through the OPAC.
Yes. And then staff could do it too. You know, if you had a patron who wasn't comfortable doing it on their own, staff could go into the patron's account and enter in the information for the patron to create the suggestion also.
Hey, Barbara,
Yes.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Could you repeat the questions that the people in the room are saying? Because we
Yes.
have no idea what they're saying.
Yes.
Thank you.
So she was asking about patron suggestions, and, you know, can a patron actually do the patron suggestion on their own? So we were discussing how you could go into the OPAC, log into your account, and you as the patron could enter that suggestion. Or you could, as staff, you could go in and enter it in the patron's account for the patron if they didn't want to do it themselves.
Thank you.
Is that a setting? We did it so long ago.
Yeah,
To turn on.
I'm not sure if it's, I think maybe there's a system preference to allow patrons to either enter suggestions or to not even, you know, have that be an option in the OPAC. I think it's a system preference.
Maybe Apple can show us on koha itself.
Yep, definitely. Okay.
So we're gonna do it. She just wanted to see it happen, and so we will work with her on showing her. But I guess my main thing is I think that people should go into Bugzilla more and see what these different features are. You don't have to, you know, it's not, don't worry about, you don't really understand Bugzilla or whatever. You can just go in there and see, you know, here's a feature that would help your library. And the more often you go in and say, you know, me too, or vote for it or whatever, the more likely that feature is going to be developed in the future. So.
Yep, thank you. Okay, thank you, George. The system preference to enable disabled borrower suggestions in the OPAC is suggestion. So we'll show you how to do that on your thing. Okay, oops, hang on a second. Someday I'll learn. Okay, it wasn't a touchscreen yesterday and it's still not a touchscreen today. Go figure. Does anyone here have a way to automate holds for items the library decided to purchase after receiving a purchase suggestion? I'm pretty confident the answer is no. Does anyone here have a way to automate holds for items the library decided to purchase after receiving a purchase suggestion? I think the automation is that person who sits in the corner and types it all in. That's about as automated as it gets. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
We can't automate them, but we have a special suggestion status that our collections librarian puts on when she orders something. And so then our person who goes through when she's doing new books, she can just search each title to see if there's a suggestion, and then she'll place holds and change the status to like hold placed, so it's not showing up in there anymore. And if there's multiple people, like popular book, more than one person put an item on, whoever put the suggestion on first gets the first hold. We actually backdate it based on the date it was suggested so that it goes in the right order.
yeah.
Yeah, so that bug is 27595, place holds for patrons on accepted purchase suggestions. So you need to go into Bugzilla, search for 27595, and then down in the notes or comments section, you need to put in there, this is really important to my library. We really need this feature, you know, or something. The more people that say this is really, really important, the more likely this will get fixed.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to not use the touch screen and scroll up. Oops, wrong way. Okay. Oh, okay. Got a conversation going here. Okay. Nancy Davis, in acquisition under suggestions, can you explain what the checked status means? And can I resolve or move the items out of, I'm guessing there, that's where my comment ended. Okay, so the check status means whatever you want it to mean. So what we would do, what we did previously was we had, you know, everything comes in on pending. So this is just one example of how to use the check status. It's not the ultimate answer, but an example is we would have, everything comes in on pending. And then we had like one person assigned each day of the week to kind of keep an eye on those pending things. And then when something would come in, the person would look at that thing and think, okay, that's, you know, junior nonfiction or whatever. So our previous process was to move that to checked status and add the initials in the comments or the notes section of the collection developer who was responsible for that. So then the collection developers would just monitor the checked status. So they would just look for their initials. We found a way better, so that's what it means. You know, it's just a status you can use if you've got some, you know, if you got somebody up front that kind of looks at it and say, you know, they can get rid of all the ones that you really do already have in the catalog, things that are out of print, you can tell them, you know, whatever. So that's kind of what the person at the front end would do. And then everything that got moved into check status would be things that the collection developers actually had to deal with. So that's just an example, but you can use it for whatever you want. And yes, you can move the 3 items out of it, just change the status to, you know, accepted or rejected, whichever one they are. And then they'll disappear from that. I think there's one other status too, that there's checked. I forget, there's another one that everyone's
Rejected.
yeah, it's accepted, rejected, checked, pending, and it seems like there was one other one that would confuse us sometimes. But what we ended up doing was, because we've got multiple collection developers, and this was an idea that I got from the conversations that happened in this group, was instead of having just those accepted, checked, rejected, whatever, I set up in authorized values, you can add whatever you want. And I set up statuses for each, you know, with the collection developers' names, you know, Rhonda, Joe, Bob, Sue, whatever, you know, I set up tabs. And then now the person who goes through at the front end, instead of putting the initials in the notes thing, they will simply move that item, that suggestion, into the status of whichever collection developer needs to look at it. So the collection developers, instead of having to scan through all the checked ones looking for their initials, which weren't always in the same spot, depending on where somebody put, you know, whether the patron put notes in the notes field or whatever, they can just look across the top and see, is my name in this list of tabs? And if so, I've got some things to look at. It'll have a little parentheses after it that tells it how many purchase suggestions they have to deal with. So I'm sure when I get back from this conference, I will have a whole bunch. And then the collection developer can just focus on their tab and what they need to do. So that was a really good suggestion, which my collection developers really like, because it really simplified their process. Did that answer your question, Nancy? I gotta, oh, how did that work? For popular titles. Okay, I'm sure, Lisette, you saw that question from Kristen. Thanks, Lisette. How does that work for popular titles when they may have been suggested by multiple patrons?
The oldest suggestion holds placed first, and then the newer suggestions last, and we backdate them.
Yeah. So, okay, great, Kristen. Okay. Okay. And actually, we are on Aspen as well. So patrons can place holds in Aspen, and they show up on the staff client and that in Koha, and then we just handle them from there. Christopher, we are a single library. We have 3 in check status, which have all been ordered, and I wasn't sure how to remove it. So Nancy, just go in, you know, or go into the check status tab, select, put a check mark next to which, one of them, and then go down to the bottom and select accepted. And then whatever it is, save, or I can't remember what the word is. And then just do that for all three of them, and they will all get moved to the accepted column. Is probably somebody just missed on the drop down, which happens. Okay. See, this is the fun part. This is the part that gets me when everybody's asking questions and stuff. That's the great part. Yeah, but like, reiterate what Barbara said. Definitely go into Bugzilla. Look for the bugs that you think will be helpful to you. Definitely, the bug that we've been talking about here, 27595. Put your comments in there. Vote for it. There's a little place where you can vote. And the more votes something gets, the more attention it'll get by developers. So definitely do that. And then we can go from there.
And then another sort of thing that SIGs can do is come together and collaborate on developments. I mean, there's a lot of people here that want that functionality that we're talking about, and maybe if we really want it to come in, we're gonna have to pay for it. But this group can be a way to kind of gather people that are really passionate about getting it in. Maybe you don't know how to put that in yourself, but you could pay a developer to do it. We could put our money together and get that moved through the process faster. And that's also a functionality of koha-US. I mean, if somebody wanted to submit this as a development to our development committee, we could review it, put it up on our website, do the crowdfunding thing with it, see if there are ways that we can use koha-US funds to push it forward, which segue into, that's a perk of being a member. so you get to vote on how we spend that money. So if you become a member, the membership money that you're paying is going to go towards that development as well, for the most part. And then in turn, you're going to be able to vote and say, yeah, I want us to spend our organizational funds on that, because I think it's really important.
Yes. Definitely, the whole idea of collaboration, and, if you're talking and we can all talk, and the function, I think the function to get the connection between EDI and purchase suggestions is a bug that we, us and two other libraries have actually paid for. Just by, I sent out a query on the listserv and said, anybody else interested in this? And I got some responses back. And between the three of us, the three libraries, we only had to pay each a third of the cost, which helps bring the price down. So, if there's a lot of people that are really interested in this automatic hold thing, we could, each of us pay, if we get 10 people or 10 libraries together, then you're only paying a tenth of the cost, which makes it much more reasonable and benefits literally the libraries in the world that have koha. So it's a great way to, okay, it seems like I dozed off here on the comments. Can you speak more about how suggestions placed in Aspen are visible in koha? Ours do not carry over. Where's Mark when you need him?
He's upstairs working on things. What do we need?
Okay, so they're saying that their suggestions placed in Aspen are not visible in koha. Is that a setting? Ours are visible in koha.
They should be visible.
Yeah. Okay, Kristen, okay, so this is Kristen Martinez. I bet there's a lot of Aspen curious who'd be interested. Time for a ticket. Thank you. Okay, Kristen's going to put in a ticket. Yeah. Yes, because we've got, our library uses Aspen, and so, you know, I know that that's how ours works. And Ed Beal with McKinney, they're getting set up on Aspen, and that's how theirs works too. So it should be, you should be able to see when patrons place holds in Aspen, they should show up in the staff client of Koha. Okay. Yeah, definitely put a ticket in for that, and see what that is, because Mark was in here in the room a little bit ago, but McKinney is trying to do the fast path to get Aspen up before the end of the fiscal year, which is about a week away. So he's helping them get things going. So, okay.
Rhonda, Christopher
ma'am.
asked if you guys are a single library or multi-branch.
We are single library. We would like to be multi-branch, but we are a single library.
And I think he was asking that when we were talking about the different suggestion statuses, which Christopher, we've set up for our consortium and anyone else who's interested, and use some jQuery to hide the tabs for options that our library doesn't allow, so that there's not like a billion suggestion status tabs when you open up those the suggestions.
Yeah.
And so if anyone's interested in that during the open work time or whatever, ask me about it and I can do a little demo.
Okay, yeah. So we've got just a few minutes left. Definitely if you haven't joined the Acquisition SIG, go to the koha-US.org website and join the SIG. If you want to join with your work email that isn't Google, then send a email to, you can send it to president@koha-US.org, which is me, and I will join you, get you joined with your work email. If you go click on that link, you pretty much have to have a Google. I think you have to have a Google email.
Yeah, basically, if you click on that join link on our page and it doesn't let you join, send Rhonda an email and she can still add you from the back end of things.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see what you'll tell me later.
Yeah, I'll get you. Hi, Carol. You just came out big on my screen. So. And you get to meet really cool people through this too. Basically you get to meet your peeps. It's just so cool. People that are facing the same crazy things that you face every day. So. That was okay. All right. So Christopher's comment is related to the response that Lisette gave, I think. So, okay.
I can confirm that Rhonda just said, meet your peeps.
Yeah. Yes, meet your peeps. That's what I always say. Library people are my peeps. So. Okay. I have a stuffed peep, but I think it's at work. Oh, Fred, of course he's got something that's stuffed. Okay. We need a koha-US t-shirt that says meet your peeps. I love it. Yeah. There we go. Theme of next year's conference. I love it. Meet your peeps.
Write that down,
Okay.
write that down.
Yeah, that's right. Quick. Yeah. That's right. The hardest thing is picking out a theme each year. So, and that's,
It'd almost be worth staying on the conference committee another year to make sure that goes through.
well, yes, let's hope it's an in-person conference.
I might think of a logo for that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Little chicks. Yeah. Okay, all right. I think, I keep losing my program. I think next,
Lunch club is open work.
open work. Okay, right before lunch. All right.